The National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today from Giant Stadium, it's the San Diego Chargers versus the New York Giants.
September 14th, 1986. Week 2 of the NFL season between the New York Giants and the San Diego Chargers at the Meadowlands. For the Chargers, they're coming off of one of the greatest offensive performances in franchise history. The previous week against the Miami Dolphins, they put up 50 points and 500 yards of total offense, while controlling the ball for nearly 39 minutes. They dominated. But in this game against Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick's vaunted Giants defense, things are much different. San Diego isn't controlling the time of possession as much. They're having to punt way more often. And they find themselves down 10-0. At one point in this game, the Giants had 237 yards of total offense compared to just 20 for the Chargers. Not to fear, however, because San Diego's defense kept this one from getting out of hand in the second quarter after one of the more bizarre interceptions you'll ever see. That would be the last time in Giants history that a play would ever happen involving a football touching a helmet. Later in that half, following a nice punt return, Dan Fouts would get it going, and would show why he's one of the best quarterbacks of his era, throwing a beautiful 29-yard touchdown pass to Gary Anderson. Then San Diego's defense forced a 3-and-out, and they got the ball back in Giants territory with 1:12 left in the half. Despite getting dominated on the road, they've got a chance to go into the half tied, or even with the lead, and they get the ball to start the second half. All they need right here is a competent 2-minute drill. Want to see how it ended?
Called down to replace Ray Perkins when he went to Alabama in '83. Quick in, Kellen Winslow, not done yet, and the big guy, Missouri, takes it down to the 6-yard line. Clock running.
Now they got no timeouts left. You see where that play by Buford McGee?
5 seconds. 2 seconds. Fouts throws it out of bounds, and the clock is out. And Fouts is furious.
That's Buford McGee. By not going out of bounds, he cost the San Diego Chargers that timeout where they couldn't get the field goal off. There's a flag on the play, too many men on the field. You can't run an extra play if you're the offense in the last 2 minutes of a half or a game.
Illegal procedure, decline, pass over.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Now before I break this play down, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something that looked bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something that looked awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And today's play takes us back to a fan favorite on this series. Hello, San Diego. If I told you the scenario that a team gets the ball past midfield with 1:12 left and 2 timeouts, you'd probably think that they scored. If I told you that they didn't turn the ball over, kept possession the entire time, and that the drive did not end in a missed field goal, you would absolutely think that they scored. For the Chargers to not score on this 2-minute drill is a catastrophe of epic proportions, especially with the way that it ended. So let's break down what has to be, all things considered, one of the worst 2-minute drills you'll ever see. First down, and we get an incomplete pass. It's a throw that Fouts should probably hit, as Wes Chandler was pretty open down the sideline. It's also a receiver that Fouts has a lot of chemistry with, as Chandler made 3 Pro Bowls with the Chargers, and even led the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns during the strike-shortened 1982 season. But misfires happen. Nobody's perfect. No biggie. Second down, it's a pass over the middle to Kellen Winslow. Fouts just has to get rid of this one quickly because of the pressure by the defensive line. And it's a nice hit by Andy Heaton, the 4th-year linebacker, to prevent Winslow from getting anything after the catch. The Chargers burn one of their 2 timeouts after this play. Third down with 1:04 left, and Fouts finds Gary Anderson in the flat for the first down. I'm not sure if this was a first down, as he may have been half a yard short on first glance. Remember that 1986 was the first season where instant replay existed, so this play could have been overturned. If you want to see more about the origins of replay and how something happened a few weeks later that was so egregious that it actually changed instant replay forever, check out the video in the upper right corner. Anyway, they don't review the play and they end up picking up the first down. And then for some reason, they take their sweet time getting to the line and calling the next play. When Fouts misfires on the next pass on first down, there's 32 seconds left on the clock. It took the Chargers 32 seconds to run 2 plays. Way too long. And on the next play, Buford McGee catches the pass, makes a nice move to juke out Andy Heaton, and he picks up the first down. Then the Chargers take their final timeout with 18 seconds left. So despite their blunder earlier by taking 32 seconds to call 2 plays, they should still be okay. Take 1 or 2 shots to the end zone, or go to the sideline, and if not, settle for 3 points and go into the half tied at 10-10. It would be a 38-yard field goal from this point if the Chargers picked up no more yardage. It should be a relatively routine kick, especially since the previous week, kicker Rolf Benerschke went 3 for 3, hitting 2 field goals from a comparable distance of 36 yards. I did a video about Benerschke if you want to check that out. What's the worst possible idea in a situation like this? Throwing short over the middle of the field? Yeah, let's do that. Fouts throws to Winslow almost like it was a design play. Obviously, they don't score the touchdown. The Giants are more than okay with letting Winslow get some yards over the middle, because that clock is just going to tick. Now, if you're settling for 3 points, you want to call a quick play over the middle, then go up and spike the ball and make what was a routine field goal even more routine, that would be one thing. I'm not crazy about that play calling, I think it's a bit scared, but I'm not also devoting a long video to it. But what the Chargers did after this was, well, you saw it earlier. It was a disaster. Number 1, the Chargers had 13 men on the field. When you have multiple players running off the field at the snap, you know you messed up big time. Obviously, having 13 men on the field is illegal. Number 2, as I mentioned earlier, the Chargers were going to get the ball to start the second half. Instead of taking the 3 points by doing something else on the previous play, or just by spiking the ball here, they got greedy for seemingly no reason. And it would be one thing if they were on the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, but from the 8 yard line, this is a giant mistake. But let's take an even deeper dive into this. Time for some advanced analytics. For all the computer folks out there, this one's for you. Dan Fouts struggled mightily in this one, especially in the second half, where he threw 5 interceptions. In the first half, the Giants contained him for the most part. I looked at every Fouts throw from the first half that was a completion. Here is all of those throws in chronological order. See for yourself how many of them traveled more than 8 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Go for the first time, right up top. Swing to Gary Anderson and an excellent defensive play. Out stands in, he gets the ball to Buford McGee, and he gets some room to run, and Buford McGee both arms on the ball, and Giant fans come alive now as the defense comes to. Here's a throw and a completion, and it's a first down for the Chargers as the ball is advanced. Buford McGee, a Chargers. Fouts and a good play by Buford McGee, and he puts on a move and gets a first down. I said it was because he's the toast of the town. Nonetheless, here's Dan Fouts. Gary Anderson's there. It's a touchdown, Chargers. 6. Fouts dumps it off. Kellen Winslow is hit and hard where they're going. Here's the snap. Gary Anderson makes the reception, and he's ahead for what appears to be the first one on team buses. Back in form. Here's a swing past Buford McGee. Get out of bounds. First down. Buford McGee with the inside move takes it down. Quick in. Kellen Winslow not done yet, and the big guy, Missouri, takes it.
He had 10 completions prior to that play. Aside from that 29-yard touchdown pass that I showed earlier, his longest throw was 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. There were a bunch of 2 and 3 yard completions. On throws in that first half prior to that play that were 8 or more yards past the line of scrimmage, which is what Fouts would have had to do in order to score a touchdown on that final play of the half, he was 1 for 10. The Giants took away the deep ball. That was their whole strategy. Try and stop the Chargers from going deep. And it worked really well. So on one hand, you can spike the ball with 11 men on the field and you can try to get a field goal to tie the game. Or on the other hand, You can have 13 men on the field and try a play that has practically never worked against this Giants defense all day. The fact that the Chargers chose option 2 is mind-boggling. What was the explanation given for this insane sequence of events that LA Times writer Chris Cobbs called futile and embarrassing? Well, Fouts thought that he had time to kill the clock. A special teams coach, Hank Bauer, thought that the Chargers had already stopped the clock. So he sent the field goal unit out there, not realizing that the Chargers hadn't actually stopped the clock yet. Whatever the case, the Chargers now had no momentum going into halftime, and then proceeded to turn the ball over 6 times on 6 drives in the second half to lose by a final score of 20-7. Assistant coach Al Saunders said that the execution by the team all day was awful. And man, was that exemplified throughout this 2-minute drill.
At the end of the first half, very, very poor execution. It began with Buford McGee making a nice catch, but there's no reason to try to get 1 or 2 extra yards. You got about 30 seconds left here on the clock. Fouts finds him over the middle. Now, that's not the catch we're looking for. That's earlier on, way earlier on. But what Buford McGee should have done was try to get to the sideline. He didn't. He turned the ball upfield. Now, once that mistake is made, now you try to make up for it. They call a timeout, and then strangely, Dan Fouts and the San Diego Chargers offense go to the line of scrimmage, throw the ball directly down the field to Kellen Winslow. Here you see it. He's got no chance to get out of bounds now. Most coaches say you need about 12 seconds to get your kicking team on the field. The confusion was San Diego tried to get their field goal team on. The offense stayed out there. The ball is snapped with 15 guys on the field. No play into the half. Chargers trail by 3.
So what did we learn from this drill? Well, it's probably not a good idea to take your sweet time calling the next play if you're saving a timeout. It's not a good idea when you have no timeouts late to throw to the middle of the field. If you're going to throw to the middle of the field in that situation, you should probably try and spike it to stop the clock. If your options are a chip shot field goal or a deep pass when throwing deep hasn't been working all game, you should probably take the chip shot field goal. And if you're going to do all of this, make sure you've got 11 men on the field and not 13. Because when these elements aren't there, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision.
Call down to replace Ray Perkins when he went to Alabama in '83. Again, Kellen Winslow, not done yet, and the big guy, Missouri, takes it down to the 6-yard line. Clock running.
Now they got no timeouts left. You see where that play by Buford McGee?
5 seconds. 2 seconds. Fouts throws it out of bounds, and the clock is out.
See,
And Fouts is furious.
that's Buford McGee. By not going out of bounds, he cost the San Diego Chargers that timeout where they couldn't get the field goal off. There's a flag on the play. Too many men on the field. You can't run an extra play if you're the offense in the last 2 minutes of a half or a game.
Illegal
Half
procedure,
over.
decline, pass over.